he was able to ship 2.5 million slaves from Congo and its neighboring countries.
2.5, one man.
Yes, he was a very wicked king. So look from his illustration, life of a man, death of a people. This is the original platform built by the whites.
The original one?
Yes. The slaves, they were having weighing scales, like how when we go to hospital, you have to go and stand on weighing scale, check your height, and that's what they were doing here. And this for the children.
The team and I have been chronicling the stories of some of the forgotten forts along the coastlines of Ghana. And if you followed us, you'd notice that the stories have gotten better and better with each of the places we visited. Today we are at Nkommo. It's also in the central region. And we're bringing the story of Fort William. It's also one of the forts that are littered across the coastlines of Ghana. And we'll be getting in there shortly to speak with Theresa. Theresa is going to be our tour guide for this episode of our Ghana Man series here on GhanaWeb TV. My name is Eche Atisu. I'm your host. Come along. Let's get in. Hello, Theresa.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Please, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and you?
I'm very well as well. You are the one taking care of. This is Fort William.
Yes, please.
Okay. And as we've been doing, we're trying to tell the stories around some of these forts. We call them forgotten forts. What's the Fort William story? I see that we're in a place, I see pictures for the first time in a fort. Yes. So what's the story of this particular place?
Okay. So once again, you are welcome to Fort William.
Thank you.
This is one of the historic forts. And you see these pictures depicting how slaves were treated.
Are these real photographs?
They are real pictures from the internet.
Real?
Yes.
They are not?
No, they are not fabricated. They are not drawings. They are real pictures. So, for example, you can see this picture here. Slaves will be brought from Chad, Mali, Burkina, Niger. They will have to walk on foot because there was nothing like transport system. So before slaves arrive at the coast, they are already dehydrated with bushy hairs. We have some of the pictures too here.
Okay.
These are also slaves from the north. They will have to walk.
Northern parts of Ghana?
Yes. They have to walk from Savannah region to Asante region and then finally to Central region.
Wow.
Yeah. We have this one. This one is in the ship. Their final shipment, he was being aggressive, so they had to put him in shackles. Before they arrived at their destination, the key to the shackle had been missing. So they had to cut the shackle and then release him to another merchant.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I see this as well.
Yeah.
Is that also a ship?
That's how they were packed in the ship before they will be shipped to the Caribbean and the other countries.
Are they standing?
Some may be sitting because they were fully packed. There were no space for them to stretch. Yeah.
Is that a black man I see, or that's a white?
They are all blacks.
The person in uniform?
Yeah. He may be a merchant.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, the merchants were not white. They were blacks. So he may be a merchant who brought a slave to be sold. And then finally he got the chance to be shipped as well.
And that's a purely white man?
Yes.
Is that like a market or what?
There's a movie,
Okay.
Kintakute.
Oh,
So
that's
this
Kintakute.
movie, yes, they had the concept from the slavery history,
Yes.
and then they used it to act this movie.
But all the other pictures,
They are all real, yes. Some of our women being raped in the plantations. Yeah. And then we have the children that were brought here, they were also not left out with the punishment.
So there were children also here as slaves?
Yeah. They were termed as stubborn children.
Wait, so they were stubborn children and they were brought here to be enslaved?
Some of the children were brought here by their own parents.
By their own parents?
Yes, to be sold to the white because they were stubborn. You know, our black women and the men, the whites were able to manipulate them. And then they told them that you do not have a means to bring up a stubborn child. They had it, so you have to bring them. You not knowing that your child was being shipped to another country to go and work.
So it was just some great deception,
yes,
to get some of these children into the force.
And some of them were forcibly captured by the whites.
I know for this fort and like all the others, they are situated in towns where an Nkommo. So where a lot of you mentioned places like even where Niger, and
Chad, Mali, Burkina,
all were brought here.
Yes.
But did they take people from within here?
Some were captured from here.
Who is King Leopold the second?
Okay. King Leopold was a merchant, but he was a governor from Belgium.
Okay.
Yeah, he resided at Congo. He was Congo. He was able to ship 2.5 million slaves from Congo and its neighboring countries.
2.5, one man.
Yes, he was a very wicked king. So look from his illustration, life of a man, death of a people. He is saying so far as he's alive, people must die. Yes, very wicked king.
So how is he connected to Fort William here in Nkommo Wo?
He's not connected, but we have the pictures just to tell about him when people come here. Yeah.
So we don't have any account of him ever coming here or anything.
No, please.
Okay. All right. Now we've seen pretty much a lot of the photographs here, but I want us to get into the fort itself. Let's tell the actual stories of the fort. So Theresa, you are still our guide. Where are we going to? What are we going to hear now?
Okay, so Fort William was one of the historic forts. It was built in 1753 by the British. Before the British came, there had been this ditch, the ditch. So the ditch had the floor building, and then the British had to put on another story when they purchased it from the ditch.
So it's how many floors?
3.
So ground floor,
yes,
and 2
middle, and then.
All right. Let's see how it is, and then when you share the story, we'll know better how it is. So this is the compound.
Yes. So Fort William was built purposely for slave trade. Purposely for slave trade.
So unlike the other forts we've been to where we heard they started with trade and other things, this one purposely
for slave trade.
Okay.
Yeah. Cape Coast was built for administrative purposes. Elmina was for the gold, but Fort William was purposely for slaves. So slaves will come. They were bought from Chad, Mali, Burkina. They will have to walk to Asan Manso for their last bath before they will be distributed to the various forts and castles along the coast. So this is the main entrance where slaves will have to walk through. And when they are brought here, we have the first room that they were taken to, and then slaves will go through physical examination tests to select the best ones.
Physical, that means that what? You are stripped?
You will not be stripped, but they will check your height, your strength, and your physical strength before you be selected as slaves. They do all these things because they needed the strongest one, because they were going to work in the plantations.
What happened to those who were not fit or did not meet the criteria?
So those who were not qualified, they will have to go back with their merchants. Maybe you were bought from Chad, Mali, Burkina, Niger. The distance may be far, so you couldn't walk back. They are the people who stayed in the community, and then they have to stay among with the merchants. That's why we have cosmopolitan communities, people with different languages and different culture in the same area.
Do I consider that those who did not qualify were lucky, and that they were more or less released into the town, so they were no longer here.
Yeah.
That was what happened.
Yeah, that was what happened.
So perhaps the only prayer some of them would have would be that they would not qualify.
Maybe.
You mentioned a first room.
Yeah.
Is that where?
We are going to the auction.
Okay,
room.
auction.
Yes.
All right, let's take a walk there. This is still the Fort William at Nkommo. You said this is the auction room.
Yes.
Okay.
So with the auction room, as I said, the slaves will have to be auctioned. But then there was nothing like money then. So it was in the 18,000s that money was introduced. So this was the platform. This is the original platform built by the whites.
The original?
Yes. The slaves, they were having weighing scales, like how when we go to hospital, you have to go and stand on weighing scale, check your height, and that's what they were doing here. So the slaves stand on this one, and then they get their height. And this for the children.
The platform?
Yes, yes. So, for them to get the right way, they were looking for, in ages, they were having a specific age. So those from 15 to 25 years, this is their platform. And then from 10 to 12 years had the small platform. Yeah.
So this is where human beings will come and be tossed around like merchandise.
Yes.
It's not only the platforms I see here. What are those other things that are here?
So after the slave trade was abolished in 1865, that was the final abolishment of slave trade in the whole world. This place was turned into various programs. One was the Youth Residential Center. Second was the post office. And then third was the prison.
Okay.
So the prison came about from 1962 to 2000 before they were relocated from here. So
this place was a prison until a point.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to just take a walk with me towards the side, because I want to see this prison until 2000. Was that when this was created?
Yes. So when it was turned into a prison, the whole building was turned into a prison. This particular one was the kitchen where they were cooking for the prisoners. That's why we have this structure where their oven was placed. And then we have this ones where they were washing utensils. That's why we see the black stains on the roofs. That's from the ovens. So during the prison time.
But everything up there is from the building when it was.
Yes.
Even the iron rods.
Yes.
Once again, so these forts are right on the edges of, or on the beach lines. They are right at the edge of the sea and the like. So when you look at these things, and you're mentioning 16, 18, the iron rods are still in the buildings. They are not even near rusting away completely.
Yes. It means the whites were using quality materials for their buildings.
Other people say that they knew what they were about and how long they wanted to do it.
Yes. For instance, for Fort William, those who came to stay here, they stayed here for 112 years, buying slaves and gold.
For that long? I've asked this question across the other places we've been to. Is there an estimated number of slaves that went through this place that you can tell what's the number like?
Okay, so out of 466 slaves that were brought to Fort William was able to ship 381,000 slaves to the Caribbean.
381,000. How many came in?
466
million?
Yes, million.
466 million people.
Yes.
Over the period of 112 years.
Yes. So out of 466, we were able to ship 381. It means some may die, some will not be able to make the journey to the destination.
This is a big place. I know we're going to go around quite a bit as well. There's another room in there. What room is that?
When it was turned into a kitchen during the prison time, they had to divide the room to get storerooms as well.
So that means that the partition in there was made by, not by the.
Okay.
So that's not part of the original building.
Yes, please.
Okay. Where are we going to next from here?
So when the slaves qualify, after you being auctioned, they will take you to the dungeons. So the dungeon were the buildings where you will stay for 3 good months before your final shipment. You stay there for 3 months because the ship travel on the ocean. They arrive at their destination within 3 months, and then out to their various places within 3 months. So it takes them 6 months on their journey.
Are we going to the dungeon now?
Yes, we are going to the dungeon.
So let's go over to the dungeons. I imagine the dungeons are just like in other places too. There is the male, and then there is the female. But even before we get to the dungeon, this is the main compound, right? Is this place like the other forts where the compounds served as cemeteries as well?
No, please. We see this structure here. It wasn't a cemetery or anything like. It was a structure that was built as a canteen during the prison time for the prisoners.
Okay, so it was added to the original compound.
Yes, please.
I guess now we can see the dungeons. So our first stop is what dungeon is this?
Male dungeon. So we are going to the male dungeon. So with the male dungeon, they kept about 100 to 150 slaves at a time.
100 to 150
slaves at a time.
This place feels very heavy. Very, very heavy.
So we have the floor being stone floor during the slavery time. So slaves were sitting, squatting, lying on stones. So it was during the prison time they screed to cover up the foul scent. They had this hole being the only ventilation hole then. Any other hole you see came about during the prison time. And was the same hole that their food was passed through to them.
So this was created during the prison time?
Yes, please.
What's this on the floor here?
These are gods, smaller gods, say fetish or ancestral worship. Yeah. So this gods was here even before the slavery started. So the merchants that sold the land to the white told them about the gods. So it was during the prison time they had this wall around it.
So that means that there's something in there?
Yes.
Is this something we can see?
Yes, please.
Okay, just so that we see what's in there.
So just as if you are going to somebody's room, you can't just pop into the bed. You have to knock and then ask the person what you want before the person allows you in. That's what I just demonstrated. So we can go straight. So this particular god is called Nana Abekan. Nana Abekan. So they were telling us that it belongs to the fair female bones of Anoma. Male bones. First male bones of Anomabo. Those where their heads are. It's not like they are coming to take the person and then cut the head, but spiritually, that's what they were telling us. So we can see money dropped in. People come here and then they make requests of whatever they want the gods to do for them, and then they just drop the money. That's why we see money dropped in.
It means that people still come here to do that?
Yes, please.
So even the colonial masters had some appreciation for the gods and decided to preserve this place for them because the merchants told them to.
Yes.
Very interesting. Okay, so now we've seen the male dungeon. But this is quite high though. That's where the food comes from.
Yes, please. And that was the only ventilation hole too then. And then you can see on the floor, there's a mark. So they were having a hole where they were using as their toilet. Okay. So in the same place they were sleeping, they were using the same place as a toilet.
So this was a hole?
Yes, please.
In the cupboard?
Yes. As I said, it was during the prison time that they have to screen and then cover up all the scent for the prisoners.
Quite interesting. Okay, so we've seen the male dungeon. We can go
into the female dungeon.
Okay.
They were not kept in the same place. They were separated. The children too were separated. So we have the children's dungeon.
There's also a children's dungeon.
Yes, please.
Okay. I think it will be the first time I'll be seeing a children's dungeon.
Yes, that's why Fort William is a unique fort. This is the first fort that had children's dungeon. So it's very unique. And this is the first fort that had a ventilation hole being big. Because it's a modern fort, they had the idea from Cape Coast that because they were not having ventilation hole, people were dying frequently. So they have to give them more space to serve as a ventilation hole.
Still not too big enough, by the way, but at least it makes some comforting knowing that one at least had some hole in there. So where is this? The next stop?
Yes, the female dungeon. So we are going to the female dungeon.
Okay.
So with the female dungeon, you can see that they have bigger space.
As expected.
Yes.
I've seen that in other places as well.
Yes. So the bigger the space, the more they bring in slaves. So they were having 2 ventilation holes. And then their toilets right there. They also have female gods.
So this is also another god.
Yes.
What door is that?
So this door was leading to the male dungeon. But then it was rod, made with rod, like how the window is. So they have to close it during the prison time so that the males could not see the female. But during the slavery time, they were seeing each other, but you cannot go there.
That's the first time I'm hearing this. So that means that the 2 dungeons, the male and the female, are adjoining. And then they had this metal bars just separating them. So the men could see the women.
Yes.
So they could actually have conversations.
Yes. If only the person that was in can understand your language. So as I was telling you, they were brought from different countries. So if they understand each other's language, they can talk.
Wow. Okay. What's the name of this god, by the way?
This one is Obonoma. Yeah. So during the time that it was not turned into prison, when the sea breeze, the water could come to this place with the waves. Yes.
Okay, so at least it was helping them in a way to get water to drink.
Sea water.
Oh, seawater. Ooh, they couldn't do anything with it.
Yes.
But at least they could use it to bath.
So they were not allowed to take bath frequently. The women were taking their bath twice in a month, and then the men once in every month after their bath at Asamanso.
Why was that the case?
I don't know if maybe there was nothing like frequent water then, but I think there is all a cruel act against them.
There's another door in here.
Yeah.
What does that lead to?
This one too is leading to the concubine dungeon. Yes.
What's a concubine dungeon?
Yes. The beautiful women among the women were selected to become concubines to the governors. So it was through them that we had our names.
So the mulattoes we talk about came about this way.
We may say. So if you are able to give birth to a white man's child, either a soldier man or a governor's child, your child will bear the name of the governor or the soldier. That's why we have the McCarthy's, McLean, York, Brown, yes, Ferguson, Fletcher, Nunu. So Nunu was a Portuguese name, Nunox. Yeah, but we had to turn it to Nunu. It's Nunox.
Was that a passport for any such women to get liberated?
We may say, but it's not the right way for somebody to become a concubine before you can let the person live a free life. I think it's not fair. Yeah, it's not. We shouldn't be happy about it because some of them were forced to turn into concubines because they were not able to contain the kind of treatment they were being treated here, they will have to just allow themselves to be turned into sex tapes and all that.
All right. So there is, we still have a few places to cover in here. At least we've covered the dungeons now. I want to see the children's dungeon.
So we are
okay. Let's see the children's dungeon, which again will be the first time I will be seeing any such thing, because I've not seen it anywhere before. You told me it's unique. Before that, what's this?
A cannon bomb.
This is a cannon?
Yes, this is a cannon bomb. It's just that the rusting has made us not see it properly, but we have good ones at the top. So when we go there, we will see them.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're going to the children's dungeon. What does this say? This is what's that?
King George the Sixth. So I told you about this for turning into various offices and honor. So this, as it was turned into a youth residential center, King George the Sixth, the Queen Elizabeth who died in 2022, that's the father. Yes, so he was the financial chairman to the youth residential center. He was financing the youth residential.
So it was his name that was put on the place at the time because he was
financing it.
Okay. So that's his picture?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The children's dungeon. Wow, unbelievable. That was a dungeon for children.
Yes, yes.
How many of them were there?
Okay, we don't know the precise number, but the more the children come in, the more they just keep them here.
So every child at the time who was in this very building was here?
Yes, please.
We did not have children that were, I'm talking about, of course, the slaves, that had other places they stayed in. They all were here?
Yes, all the children were kept in one room. They were kept in one dungeon.
What kind of conditions were they in? Was theirs any different from the others? Did they have ventilation?
Okay. With the children dungeon, because they were termed as stubborn children, they were not given any ventilation hole. So this ventilation hole came about during the prison time. Because they were termed as stubborn children, they were not given any ventilation hole. And with the door being rods, metal. Yes. So this is exactly how the room was. Yes.
Unbelievable. So they would live in this darkness the entire time?
Yes, for 3 months. And if you are not lucky and the ship gets port on the way, it may take them about 5 months before they get here.
All right. Okay. So there is the whole thing about children even being part of these things. Were the children only like strangers? Did they have their parents also at a point in here? Yeah. So maybe like they had parents who were slaves, and then they were the children also here.
I don't know about that, but possibly we may have those who were forcibly captured. They may capture the parent and then the child as well. But you may be here with your child, but you may not see your child because you will be kept in a different dungeon and your child also in a different dungeon.
And there are different routines and things they'll do at different times. Were the children being allowed to come in at any time?
Yes. That is when we are in this sunny season with this hot weather, they'll just bring about 10 of them out, and then we have the shackles here. They'll just chain all of them, put them in the shackle, and then lock them up with these shackle holes, and then allow them to take air for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then they'll just push them back with a soldier right here watching over them.
So this originally from then?
Yes.
What are these holes, by the way?
For gutters.
Okay, those are the gutters. All right. Have we covered everything on the ground floor? Where is this?
We have the condemned cell too as well.
Okay.
This is a step made during the prison time which can lead to the upstairs. But we have the condemned cell. So we have female condemned cell and then we have the male condemned cell. So let's get to the condemned cell.
This brings us to the end of part 1 of our tour of Fort Williams in Nkommo Wo. We've taken a closer look at the fort's origins, its role in the colonial era, and its involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. The walls of this fort hold centuries of history, each corner telling its own powerful story. As we conclude this part of the tour, take a moment to reflect on what we've discovered so far. In part 2, we'll dive even deeper into Fort William's later history and its significance in shaping the region today. Thank you for joining us for part 1. Stay tuned as we continue to uncover more of the remarkable history of Fort Williams here at Nkommo Wo.